Words, such an integral part of language. But what happens when we take simple words with simple definitions and ask people what they mean? These are questions for humanity. How do you know right from wrong?
I guess I'd define it as not doing something that is intentionally harmful to others, and to do things that only bring joy or good to people and the world.
Basically, the easiest thing is if it's hurting someone else, and I mean by hurting, I don't mean, let's see, how do I put this? If it deliberately causes somebody else harm, that's wrong. If it indirectly does, and you're aware of it, and you do nothing to mitigate it, that's wrong. When you tease or torment someone for not conforming to something, that's wrong. Anything involving children, animals, the mentally incapable of giving consent, be they drunk or challenged or something, it's pretty simple. It's wrong. It's always the right part that's the hardest part, because that tends to be a bigger, broader thing. It's not just based on you're not hurting somebody. It's, are you making it better for somebody? Are you making it bigger for somebody else? Even if it means, it means nothing for you out of it.
When someone's wrong, it means someone either gets a warning not to do that again, or gets in trouble. Right? So you don't get trouble and you are valued.
What is right and what is wrong? In some ways. Boy, and it's horrible. I wish that there was. I like people to go their own way. I like to have a variety, a diversity of friends and community surrounding me. But I do wish there was one set of things. This is right and this is wrong. But there is no right and wrong. It's all gray matter. We could say, well, no, I think we pretty much agree that killing someone is wrong. People kill each other every day. And they think it's right. And they call it religion. We say, well, I think we can pretty much agree that general kindness. It's stunning to me how scathing. We call it people being trolls online. That's a little mythological creature. Why are we trying to make it cute? This is cruelty. It's bullying. Even bully. I mean, I don't like bullies, obviously, but I always thought that word is kind of so cute. It's cruelty. It's meanness. It's cruelty. So to me, what is right and wrong is going to be determined by how you were raised, the consequences you have been made to face in your life for the choices that you made, and how your actions affect the rest of the world. If you are being held captive and you kill your captor and then you have freedom, some people are still going to tell you that killing was wrong, but the majority of people are going to tell you it was okay. So I honestly don't think that there is an easy definition for what is right and what is wrong. For me, what is right every single day, any decision, and sometimes I get a little extreme with this, because sometimes it's like literally every decision of my day, because I'm having problems making decisions that day. So it's literally, should I eat now? Should I call this person now? Should I share this information? Every little thing, I ask myself first, does this help someone? and I do whatever helps the most people. Will this help my friend if I share this? If I finish this project first instead of this project, will it help more people? If I cancel this, it only hurts me. If I prioritize this, it helps all of these other families. So to me, what's right is what helps the most people, what does the most good, and what's wrong is what harms the most people. But that's very general, so I'm going to have to take that just for myself.
Right from wrong is another difficult question. I know right from wrong when I look at choices and I think about how they impact me, but also how they impact the people around me and the people in our world and everything in our world, including our world, which is a lot to think about. So it can be really hard to decide right from wrong, but I mean, I think it's something that as humans we should think about our whole lives and think about whether or not we're doing the right thing.
How do you know right from wrong? Where do ethics come from? So ethics comes from, or morality, comes from our values and what we are, our natural state of being. You know, we're a rational animal who has needs for survival, and there are things that are deductions we can make from our nature and from what we need, so that we can know then that poison is bad, food is good. We can see that the way we act to other people can be detrimental or it can be beneficial, and we can see that as long as you want to continue to live, we can see that those things that which enhance our life and bring prosperity and do not harm other people are good, and those that do the opposite are bad. So we have a way of quantifying ethics through kind of an understanding of our nature and the things that we value and things that go along with the idea of sustaining life. There's a lot more in that discussion, but that's the basics.
Everybody has an inner voice. People say it's a devil and an angel on your shoulder. I think that's a lie. You know, I think that everybody is born with an inner sense of doing wrong. That's why when people, you know, do something to the extreme, like murder or something like that, they always try to cover it up because they don't want to get caught. Because inside, regardless of whether later on in courts they say they were crazy or they were out of it or this or that, if you tried to cover it up, you had an inner voice in you telling you that something was wrong and you're doing something wrong. And right is the same thing. You have even if you do the wrong thing, most people know what the right thing is, they just chose to do the wrong thing. So right and wrong is something inside.
I know right from wrong based on what I've been taught and, you know, just from the basic fundamentals of being raised and guided by people and adults who knew more than me. And then as you grow older, knowing right from wrong is a gut feeling, and it's, you just know. It's like an intrinsic making a decision. This one's right, this one's wrong.
The fact that it takes me so long to even figure that out, I think says a lot, because I feel as if I've got a very strong, solid feeling of what is right and wrong. Where did I get that from? I'm sure a lot of it was modelled for me by my parents, being told this is right, that's wrong, being fair, being honest. A lot of the words you've asked about get to the notion of what is right and what is wrong. It's wrong to do anything that will hurt another person, either physically or steal from them, or whatever. That's, I feel as if most humans, most animals would have a sense of what is right and wrong based on doing unto others as you would hope to be done to you. Doing the right thing is doing things that make yourself or other people happy. But that's a really deep question, and where does right and wrong come from? I don't think it comes from the Bible or any religious teaching, because most of those are full of inconsistencies. Certainly there are some things that tell us what's right and wrong, but I think the sense of right and wrong comes from inside of us as we relate to other people. So humans are very social beings, and so doing right is doing things that help ourselves or those around us have a happy, enjoyable, safe life. And doing wrong is some version of the opposite of all of that.
If you get a bad feeling you're not supposed to do it, then it's probably wrong.
To know right from wrong, I guess you would have to have a certain moral compass, and that could honestly mean anything. For example, I grew up with the idea that you shouldn't, hurt people, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't, just the basic laws of society where you're not supposed to do a certain thing. But then something that could be wrong can also be right for other people, so it really just depends on the point of view. For example, in this political climate that we live in, some might choose to believe that, Trump is the right president. Others might think that, no, he is not the right president. So it really just depends on where you lean on certain things and issues, and how you kind of grew up with, how you grew up with it as well. And yeah, basically your upbringings and what you were taught.
Guilt. There's a certain level of guilt when you do something wrong that makes you realize that it's the wrong thing to do. Right, you get a sense of accomplishment with.
I guess it's just the intention is would it be an intention that would help people, or it's it's meant to be good for the better of environment or people in general. And if there's something that's not really meant for that, it could be harmful. It could be harmful to others or the environment or whatnot. Then that can be wrong. It's just to me, it's all about intention.
It's definitely not easy to know right from wrong, but what you think would be better, not for yourself, but for everything.
Kind of hard because most people see different things as right and wrong. Because in some people's mind, robbing a bank, that could be considered right to them or something like that, like they're doing something good for themselves. And to other people, that would be considered bad. And so yeah, I'm guessing just depending on how you perceive right and wrong is how you can tell.
How do I know right from wrong? Most people are brought up with a sense of doing what's right, and usually it's how their society has laid aside rules and stuff. And generally, if it feels right, that even because most people know that even if their society
is okay with things that generally aren't, like racism and bigotry. There are those people that feel that they know that in their heart that that's not how you treat human beings. And so I think everybody has this kind of gauge, but at the same time, it's all also about how you're brought up.
You can feel it. You usually feel if something you're doing is something you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Or same thing with speech, what you say.
Right from wrong. That question drastically depends on the situation. I think that goes with, that gut instinct. Like, sometimes I ask my parents, I'm like, hey, can I do this? And they're like, Jamie, don't ask, just like, go do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. But, right from wrong, I think if you know something is wrong, I physically feel it, like, in my gut. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, this isn't good. But, I think, again, it depends on the situation, but right and wrong, in certain situations, they're very distinct. But in a lot that's going on, like, now with a lot of the controversial topics, there's a lot of, like, gray area in between there, and that's where it gets a little messy. But for me, knowing the difference between right and wrong, I usually know it in my head. Sometimes I just don't listen to it, being a teenager. Hopefully I'm not doing anything, terrible. But it's usually just a physical gut feeling, and, like, sometimes I feel like, that's like the Holy Spirit in me maybe going, don't, stop. Sometimes I listen to it, sometimes I don't, but I mean, hey, you learn from your mistakes, right?
It's your personal opinion.
I think our moral compass, we have our intuition will tell us, our heartbeat will tell us, and I think it's just when you know you've done something wrong, you feel it inside. There's a guilt or a presence inside of you that tells you, and it could be shaped by the way we were raised. It could be shaped by our environment, our society, and how they kind of tell us what is right and what is wrong. But it really boils down to perception. But I think our internal moral compass kind of, besides perception, it really tells you what's right and wrong.
You choose what is right and what is wrong, and then you fight for those things?
I don't think you're taught. I think you just know, and then disappointment or like praise, those will kind of teach you what the right or wrong thing is to do, and you'll know if you get disappointment or praise, which is which.
You don't. You have to trust your gut. Life experience. If you do something and it turns out to be wrong, hopefully you won't do it again. Life lessons, right from wrong. Hopefully you know inside what's right versus what's wrong. Because if it's wrong, it could be bad. So I think when you do something right and you make the right choice, you're listening to your head and your heart, your friends, your family. It's important to listen.
I've made mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes.
You face the 2 a.m. review board. If you think about the 2 a.m. review board, you do what's right. Well, that mainly comes from a feeling. If you know that you're doing something, right, then it makes you feel good about yourself. If you know that you're doing something wrong, then you'll probably feel pretty shitty afterwards.
Personal judgment.
For me, when it comes to right and wrong, the most I'm dealing with is whether or not to be a jerk. So, in my mind, in that sense, I consider just I guess it's better to be nice than it is to just be completely disagreeable. Aside from that, major issues of debate, I have no idea how you would decide that. It's real. I think you really just have to look inside yourself and ask yourself and come to a conclusion.
Well, hopefully it was something you were taught. It's usually not something you were born with, in my opinion. But it has to come from a place of somebody else's knowledge, pass on to you, and to make sure that it's understood and that it's practiced.
One, most of us have been taught the difference of what would be right and what would be wrong when we were young. And if we didn't, you also kind of feel it in the pit of your stomach. When you do something you know is wrong, you know there's going to be a consequence. Get ready, because you're going to pay the consequence. And if you do it anyway, you should have to. But that's your decision, and everyone has a right to make